That leads back to today's major geopolitical story, those strikes and counterstrikes between Israel and Iran. The latest, Israel's defense minister saying Iran crossed red lines with its strikes against Israeli cities. And joining me now is Fred Kempe, president and CEO of Atlantic Council and a CNBC contributor. Fred, Israel's positioning this moment, it seems to be an existential threat to the Iranian regime. Is it?
Look, we have someone working for us now at the Atlantic Council. He was the chief negotiator in the Biden administration for the Middle East, Brett McGurk. And the Israelis are calling their action Operation Roaring Lion or something, a Rising Lion. And he's calling it Operation Kitchen Sink. So they've taken out the whole military command structure. They probably could have hit the supreme leader if they wanted to. It certainly is a signal to Iran that they can go further. The air defenses in Iran were nothing to hold back. So I think they feel really threatened. So Iran has struck back, but most of the people who could plan the strikes back are dead. And so we're in a really curious situation where we're watching to see what Iran is going to do next. But I'm not sure they have the capabilities to do all that much. And so my guess is you're going to see Israel pressing its case in the next days, taking out as much around the nuclear structure, the nuclear infrastructure of Iran as they possibly can. And then in the end, knowing that they don't want to do this all over again, and really putting the region in a position that it can move on, maybe even to greater regional integration built on the Abraham Accords with moderate, modernizing, forward-looking Arab states, normalizing with Israel, and really reordering the whole Middle East. That would be the best outcome of all of this.
That would be the best outcome, but it also sounds like you're painting a picture of a desperate nuclear-armed state in this situation, no?
Well, they're not nuclear armed, and that's just the point. I don't think Israel is, if you're talking about Israel, they're not desperate at all at this point.
No, I mean Iran. I mean, we don't know what their capability is to actually take advantage of whatever nuclear capability they have left right now, but it sounds like you're saying their back's against the wall.
Yeah, their back's against the wall, and you know, part of the reason the Israelis struck now is that Iran is about 2-3 weeks away from having enough fissile material to put together in a bomb-like device. But then they would have to figure out a way to deliver it. They would have to figure out a way to put it on a missile. You know, so for the United States, this was not a today problem. For the United States, the Trump administration was willing to negotiate a little bit further and put a little bit more pressure on them. But for Israel, it was a today problem. It was an existential problem. So we saw this as a medium-term problem, or we, the Trump administration, they saw it as an existential problem. And I think now, you know, Trump would like to use this situation to leverage Iran into doing more serious negotiations than they were willing to do. But in many respects, Israel has achieved through hitting these various targets a lot of what perhaps a nuclear deal might have achieved. So I think Iran is in a position where it's going to want to strike back, probably can't strike back, and has to think really hard whether it needs to come to the negotiating table.
Well, perhaps I'm too cynical, but I couldn't help but wonder if perhaps the U.S. and Israel weren't more tightly coordinated than it appears in the end goals here. I mean, it seemed a month ago when President Trump was in the Middle East that he wasn't paying Israel all that much attention, but now the United States certainly helping Israel with its missile defense and not seeming to have much problem with this preemptive attack. I mean, perhaps the coordination was a bit tighter than it appeared?
We'll find that out over time. I think it's a good question to ask. What we do know is the Israelis were happy with the Trump administration negotiating unilaterally with Hamas to get an American hostage release, but not really helping at that same point with their hostages. Israel was not happy with the Trump administration negotiating with the Houthis unilaterally when they were also being hit by Houthi missiles. So there have been tensions, and one knows that Trump really doesn't want the U.S. military involved. In a way, he's got the best side of the deal, because he's been able to take out the capabilities of an adversary. He's been able almost certainly to set them back from a nuclear weapons capability by some margin. And he's been able to do it without the use of American soldiers or American attack on Iran, although we do think that the U.S. has been involved in defending Israel from Iran's counterattack.